Hi everyone, this is Maggie, and we're just doing the market training that was presented in May for those of you who just wanted a refresher or couldn't make it to that training. So we're going to start by just reviewing some confidentiality and boundaries. This is what is in our volunteer handbook and what volunteers are expected to do. They're expected to only access information that is necessary to perform their duties, not discuss or share confidential information unless authorized by HFS to do so. This includes going home and talking to your family and friends about somebody you might have seen using the market. We ask that you exercise discretion in conducting confidential conversations in public or semi-public areas. You might think you're having a conversation with Mary that's confidential, but actually it is in an open spot where other people can hear that information. Prevent unauthorized persons from accessing or viewing confidential data. Sometimes it's as easy as turning a piece of paper over that has someone's name on it. And then, of course, if you were to ever observe someone trying to access confidential information, we would just want you to inform staff. That happened.
And in the conversation piece as well, when we're in the market around our neighbors that are here for a service, we also want to remember about not talking about things that may be sensitive. Currently, we're in a political season, or it can be something that we don't think that would be sensitive to someone, but we have no idea of the background and what life experiences our neighbors are coming in with. So conversations of any kind of nature other than, just basically weather and just common conversation between people, we will want to avoid in the market area, or also if we're in the volunteer receptionist area. Another comment from a fellow volunteer was that she also believed that we should refrain about talking about going on trips and things of that nature, because sometimes when your money is really tight, it's just really hard to hear about other people going on like trips to Utah and things like that. So we also ask that you refrain from those types of conversation until you're in a volunteer only area, like in the kitchen or when you're sorting food out in the warehouse.
Okay, here are some different confidentiality situations that we'll just talk about, and then Mary will talk about kind of how you should, respond. So maybe someone says to you, "Hey, I saw you out in that alley at HFS." Was that whomever you were talking to?
Generally, because I'm older, I usually just say, I'm over 50. I don't remember who I was talking to. And you just kind of gently sidestep that.
Okay, another situation, you are at Cub and you see a person who has been in the market in front of you at the checkout.
So what you'll always do in that kind of situation is that you don't initiate any kind of conversation with that individual. You just, they may say hi to you. If somebody initiates a hello to you, you certainly can say hello back to them, but you would under no circumstances approach them because of confidentiality.
This is kind of a tricky one. I always think that if you're out to eat with your family and a person who has been into the market says hi to you and your spouse asks, how do you know them?
I generally just say, it's just somebody I know from town. It could have been school, or I don't even remember.
Okay, we're going to go on to boundaries. This has been added to our volunteer handbook recently, so some of you who've been here with us for a while may have not seen this before. We ask that you only perform duties outlined in your position description. If someone asks you to go above and beyond that, ask staff. Trust your gut. If it falls in that gray area and you're just not sure, never hurts to ask a staff member. We ask that you refrain from making any suggestions that could be interpreted as medical, financial, or legal advice. I'm sure you've all experienced being in the market and someone wants to tell you their whole life story and every problem they have. So we just have to be really careful about how we respond, because it could become a legal situation for HFS. If they say, "Oh, so-and-so told me to do this and it didn't work out for me." We ask that you refrain from imposing any political and or religious beliefs. We ask that you not accept money or gifts from a neighbor. On the flip side, we ask that you not loan or give a financial gift to a neighbor. This includes purchasing or giving them personal items. We ask that you not give a ride to a neighbor without permission from staff. Some of you are able to give rides and are willing to do that. We would appreciate that. But there are some of the people we serve, we may not feel comfortable with you giving them a ride. So you just want to make sure you get that okay from Mary or Tasha before you give them a ride. We ask that you not force a neighbor to take a service or item he or she may not want or need. And then if you're ever concerned about a neighbor's that they might be a victim of abuse, neglect, or self-neglect, we do want you to alert staff in that situation. We are a mandated reporter.
All right, and just to talk a little bit more about when you're a giving person a ride, I'd just like to reiterate, make sure that staff asks you the question of giving somebody a ride home. So make sure of that. The person must be mobile, meaning they're able to get in and out of the car and into their building by themselves. We bring the groceries just to the door or just in the first threshold right there. We do not enter into the total apartment of the individual or the home. It's just for your safety and for theirs. And we don't make any other additional stops. Even if somebody said, hey, can we just swing by and get my medication, just mention to them that it's an agency policy that I can only bring the groceries home.
Okay, I think Mary already covered the next part about avoiding conversations of controversial topics. Just as a reminder, you have a choice to be here. A lot of our neighbors don't. They need to be here to help put food on the table for their families, so they can't always leave a situation they may feel uncomfortable in. If you've experienced other boundary issues you want in the market and you want just kind of some feedback on if you handled that correctly, feel free to talk to Mary or Maggie about that. Be happy to talk to you about any other situations.
Okay, now we're going to go into the market philosophy. We have the privilege of working or giving our time to help provide a basic need of life, food, to our neighbors. We all experience hardship sometime in our lives, and we just need each other. This is what all of us gives each shift, a giving smile, a hand of help, and hope to your neighbors. So I did ask volunteers, why do you volunteer? And some of the responses that I got from your co-volunteers is the gratitude from clients is awesome. The appreciation we receive warms our heart, and the feeling of giving back to the community and those enduring hardship. So I want to talk a little bit about the key value of the market. Everything we do in the market flows from this basis. Our desire is to create an environment of dignity and respect for each person, creating a welcoming place for people experiencing a hardship. How you do something is equally important as what you do. You see the quote from Maya Angelou. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So we also have started using a different terminology. In the past, we have referred to individuals coming for service as clients. We are now going to refer to them as neighbors, because that is what they are. Neighbors is more of a welcoming word to individuals, and also eliminates that thought of us and them. So Hastings Family Service want all people to feel welcome, and all people are our neighbors. So that is the word that we are going to use now. So the market process, it is grocery style. And that means that it is a person, family-focused, self-guided shopping experience. To create this kind of environment, the volunteer is present but not directly involved with the actual shopping of the family. The volunteer will greet people, explain the process to the family, be available to answer questions, pack groceries, and help get the food in the car. To create this kind of environment, the volunteer does not push the cart for the family, take the food list and read what they can have, walk with the family as they shop, or pack food as they are putting items into the cart. Also, a volunteer would not just like sit in the market. I realize that, because of our age and that floor is very unforgiving, that people may need to rest their feet. But what I'll ask you to do is if you could, get your person started and then either sit in the warehouse area or in the kitchen. Because what happens is if somebody is just sitting there, it kind of gives the neighbor a feeling of somebody, unintentionally so by you, but somebody feeling that they're being watched, or some people will feel a sense that they need to hurry because somebody is waiting on them. So what we're trying to do is offer a sense of normalcy for the family. When things in life are occurring that seem to be out of your control, it's nice to at least be able to have the dignity to select the food to feed your family. So I would also like to say, for some of you that don't know this, that in a typical month, we serve 90 to 100 full food appointments and also emergency bags. So that's like over 16,000 to 18,000 pounds of food distributed each and every month. So a typical family of 3, in addition to selecting the food that they receive in the market, also receives a $20 voucher to the local grocery store for more fresh produce and dairy. We just got done doing a Wilder study, and last year, and this is quite disturbing, that 39% of our neighbors receive about half or more of their food a month from Hastings Family Service. So that just gives us all a new appreciation of the responsibility to provide good, healthy food. 39%, that's 39 households. If it's a 3-person family, which is our typical average family, that's 117 people each month that this community provides about half or more of their food. The process for the market, staff will give family a self-guided shopping list. We will mention to them in the office that they cannot do any kind of substitutions. We will make adjustments to the food list due to cultural or religious or dietary restrictions, and we'll let the volunteer know that. There's actually a section on our intake form to get that information. So also, just out of respect for an individual's different preferences, culturals or religious, when they come into the market, of course, the staff will let you know that perhaps, let's just use the example of pork, that the individual family will be receiving a certain amount of poundage of chicken in lieu of pork. Also, what we would like you to do, just again out of respect for someone's culture or religion, is that we wouldn't go up to them and say, hey, can you explain to me why you are not able to eat pork? So we would just, not even address any kind of situation like that. We would just, with the staff letting us know what the substitution is, we would just go with that. We will also inform the volunteer if baby food is needed. We no longer do a special slip for diapers or baby food or formula or Depends for adults. We would mention in the meeting in our offices the safety rule if children are present. Children under the age of 18 months to 2 years will need to be in the grocery cart under parent supervision. Now, there is some subjectiveness to that. You may have a 2-year-old that's more than capable because of siblings with 2 to be in the market area. But if somebody is young, it would be no different than being at Cub or Coburn's, because then that child would be in the cart with the parent anyway. And children must remain in the mini market. They can't be walking around, running, or taking items off the shelf. Basically, what I say to parents is children must stay in the mini market due to safety. We don't want any cans on little people's feet, and also only adults can be grabbing things off of the shelf. Okay, the volunteer responsibilities in the market. The volunteer will greet the neighbor in the market. Generally, the staff will say, we'll always introduce our neighbor first, like Sally, this is Marcy. Marcy, this is Sally. You all know, too, that sometimes I forget, and so if a staff member does not say the person's name, please feel welcome to say, oh, I am Marcy, and what is your first name? We don't ask the person if it is their first time into the market, because people will give you that information as soon as you start explaining the process anyway. They'll say, oh, I have been here before. But to ask a person, it's difficult for them to come and ask for help, and to state, no, I've been here before, can be hard on them, because they may think that they never would have needed to come back, and then now they're here. So the volunteer will, like I was saying, explain the list and the process, and then you'll stay busy while the person is shopping. Do not stand by the cart or sit in a chair watching them shop. You can do things like stock, straighten. You can take a little break. If you leave the market, go back frequently in case the shopper has some questions. So once you can, the volunteer will also inquire with them if they need any kind of pet food. And with the pet food, a neighbor is never to go into the warehouse. Again, this is a safety issue at any time to select pet food or whatever. It doesn't matter. So you would bring those items out. Okay, once the family selects their bread item, you will take their cart, the first cart, and then pack that. You will have them transfer all personal items to the new cart. Please also pack personal care items in a separate from food. There's just a lot of fragrances with that, and it helps the food from being contaminated with that. Then they'll continue on with their shopping, and then you will explain the free shelf that is there in the market, and that people are welcome to select items off of that free shelf. When a family is done shopping, have them wait in the reception area, and that explain to them that you will come out and get them when you are done packing up the groceries. When all groceries are packed, direct the family to come through the alley to pick up their items. Have the family pick up their food before going into Rivertown Treasures to shop for clothing. And generally what I will say to them is that we'll just need you to pick up your food before you're shopping, just to free up the carts for the next family coming in. I haven't had any issue with that. And all services, any kind of items that people are receiving from family service must go out the alley door. Now, the reason for that is that often we have heard that people pull up to our side here off of Ramsey, and they may come 1 or 2 times. The first couple times, they're not even able to get out of their car to come into the building because they are just feeling so bad about having to ask for help. So we do not want that to prevent somebody from coming in. You know, Hastings is a very small town. So we want to be sensitive and have people be anonymous whenever they need to come to Hastings Family Service. So that is the reason that all services are going out the alley. Then when you are done, if you would then please return the food list to the volunteer reception. So then we have market situations that may come up. These are some of the typical ones that volunteers have heard. The first is, I don't know if I'm doing this right. I don't want to make a mistake and take something I'm not supposed to or too much. You can just kind of reassure the person that, the list is very confusing. It is not you. I am more than happy to help with any questions that you may have. So don't feel bad about it. We can look at this together, and then I'll be around for additional questions that you might have. Someone may ask to substitute a can of green beans for corn. Now, when they were in their appointment, we had gone over this, and you can just say, unfortunately, we can't do any kind of substitutions. Another situation is someone is selecting very little compared to a typical food order. You may come up to a person because you're noticing this and say, I just thought I would just connect with you, see if you might have any questions about the list that you have. And they may say, yes, I am a little confused about this. And it's perfectly okay to say to someone, you certainly are welcome to the items that you would wish. And I just wanted to check with you because often at this point, neighbors have had, quite a few items in their basket. And I just wanted to see, because sometimes people, especially if it's your first time, you feel a little bit uncomfortable that you might be taking too much. But I want to rest your mind about that. And we have plenty of food for everyone. The community is just really generous. And then usually the person will interrupt you. They may say, I have quite a few main items at home, so I just need to kind of fill in for my my cupboards. Or they may say, okay, thank you so much. But just kind of do it one time and then, let the person resume back to their shopping. Another situation is you discover a person has obviously taken too much of an item. For example, 3 gallons of milk, 5 packages of chicken, 8 rolls of toilet paper. We're not worried about maybe the extra can of soup or the extra pasta. These would be things that would just like totally blow your mind. You know that is way beyond what a typical food order is. What you would do in that situation is that you would come and get staff. You would always come to me first, Mary, and then go to Tasha, and then go to other staff. And actually there is what's called a chain of command, like who do you go to if you have a question that is posted on the whiteboard. Also, I encourage you to look at the whiteboard because once in a great while, we are giving out a lot more of an item than we typically do. And I will write that because it might have a close expiration date, or we were able to get a large amount of those items. And I will write that on the whiteboard for your awareness. Another thing you could do is just look at a food list, and you can do a quick reference and see if that is something that has increased on that food list. Then another situation is you see someone physically having a hard time shopping. They are resting on the cart or making comments about not feeling well. Or you could see that it is mentally difficult for them to follow the food list, or they ask you for help. So 95% of the time, individuals will be doing their food list on their own, and that is the environment that we would like to create. But some of our neighbors may need our help. Now, when staff comes in, staff may ask you that Sally has requested that somebody walk along with her to go through the food list. So then that gives you permission that this is something we would like you to do. If you're also in the market and you see a neighbor, exhibiting these kinds of behaviors, it's perfectly okay to go up to them and say, hey, I'm here to help you in any way that I can. Would you like me to help you in any way with the food list? Or they could even rest in a chair and mention to you what kinds of items they would like. They may want to take a rest, a little time out to kind of catch their breathing and then resume. That would be fine. You could offer your help and then at the end just kind of say, but it's totally up to you. You get to decide if you would like me to help you or not, and either way is great. Again, giving back the person that respect to do their own shop. Another situation is a child is going out of the mini market screaming and throwing items. In that case, you could try one time to redirect and just say to the parent, because of safety, the children need to stay in the mini market. Again, no cans on toes, things of that nature, and offer it to the parent to redirect the child. And then if the parent is not, a volunteer could mention that to the child. Now, if that continues on, or there is too loud screaming or voicing of the children, come and get staff. We want staff to do any kind of confrontation with a neighbor and not the volunteer. So again, follow that chain of command. Another situation is a person starts sharing personal information about their situation and asks for advice or for additional resources. So sometimes people just start opening up, and then they're asking you, what would you do about this situation? What we want volunteers to say is that, I can't answer that for you, but I know that staff will be able to talk to you about that situation. So when you're done shopping, check in with the volunteer receptionist, and then they can let staff know. Another situation is, you're in the shopping and all of a sudden little Johnny says, Mom, I need to use the bathroom. And his sister Susie is in the mini market as well. A parent may ask you to watch Susie while she takes Johnny to the bathroom. Under no circumstance do we want a volunteer to be left alone with the child. This is a protection for you, and it is Hastings Family Service policy that never occurs. And that is exactly what you can say to that parent. You can say, I'm sorry, but Hastings Family Service has a policy that parents and children always have to be together. And I cannot, so you'll need to take Susie with you as you take Johnny to the bathroom, and then feel welcome to come right back. Another situation is a neighbor feels uncomfortable with a volunteer in the market because they know them personally. Sometimes this occurs, again, Hastings is a small town. So what volunteers have done in this situation, whether it be the neighbor uncomfortable or the volunteer being sensitive that the neighbor could be uncomfortable, that is why we generally will have 2 volunteers. So then the volunteer that doesn't know the neighbor would be the one that would work directly with them. Another situation is you feel uncomfortable with the behavior of a neighbor in the market. At that point, trust your gut instinct and come and get staff. Don't try to handle the situation on your own. We want you to come and alert staff. Again, look at the chain of command and get a staff. Now, if I am in my office and you can't locate any other staff, which would be impossible, you are free to knock on my door, because at that point you need somebody right now. Another situation, and sometimes this happens, this is, our building is quite large. It's like a little maze. So you might have a stranger walk into the market or to the warehouse. Somebody walks into the market, they should not be coming in unescorted. They would have to have permission in order to come in there. So they can go back with the volunteer receptionist and check in with them. Or sometimes people are actually looking for their way back up to the store. So then you can just walk them to that hallway and direct them up to the store. Now, nobody should be in that warehouse unless it is a staff or volunteer, or staff and volunteer are with that person. Again, it's a safety issue. It's a confidentiality issue. People should not be entering that warehouse. So those are the typical situations that occur. I just want to come back to the sometimes, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, people will be doing that grocery list on their own. And that's the environment that we want to create. That said, know that if a neighbor is experiencing a difficulty, it's our job as a volunteer as well just to reach out to them and make it a comfortable way of asking them if they would like some help in doing that grocery shopping, because it can be confusing. But then again, always give back to them, but you have it's up to you. You let us know how we can help if you would like. Okay, then the panic system. Where is the panic buttons located? The panic button for the market there isn't one in the market itself. We have some that hang around your neck if you wish to wear those. And also there is one out in the warehouse up by where where we're weighing food. So also the panic button in the warehouse, right above the button will be a red cross, so that is a visual for you as well to locate that. In what situations would you press the panic button? Now, when the panic button goes off, that will show, there'll be blue lights and you'll hear a noise as well. You press it only, and again, only if a weapon is present, or if people, a weapon can be a gun, a weapon can be a chair, a large item. So it is if there is an immediate threat and we need to totally have everyone in the building exit. So what you would do if you see the blue light flashing is you would leave the building immediately. Take anybody in the room with you, direct them. Staff will be present as well. And that when you see that blue light, you get out of the building. I also want to mention that, just the day and age that we're living in, things can happen anywhere. I mean, it can happen at schools, as we unfortunately realize, sporting events, the Mall of America, even a Bible study. It's just the world that we live in, and so if the main takeaway is if you see that blue light flashing, you leave the building immediately. You don't get belongings. You don't do anything other than exit the building. Okay, emergency bags. 1, 2, 3-day emergency bags. It's only what is on the menu. So if somebody is writing in something, that would have to have a staff initial in order to be anything in addition to what is on that bag, because often people will be coming in for a food appointment. And we have a lot of people that are coming in, a lot of neighbors, so we need to be consistent. We will now list side dishes. This is so we can utilize side dishes, like boxed potatoes, stuffing, pasta, rice, that are close to expiration. Emergency bags for people experiencing homelessness. We have a designated section in the warehouse back by the freezer that we keep bread in. There is a special partial emergency bag list items that need no refrigeration or stove to prepare. And either Tosh staff will meet with any individual experiencing homelessness, and we'll go over this form with them. And so again, they have already spoken with staff, and we'll visit with them. There's also blue personal care packs that are only for people in this situation. Staff will write on the form if they get a care kit. Other items. Diapers. A volunteer is creating a sheet that will show how many diapers to give out. Where are the diapers located? The diapers are located in the warehouse on a shelving unit that is right off of the steel table, and it's all personal care or household items, so non-food items are on that one shelving unit. Baby food and formula. The staff asks parent what the child is eating and how many jars a day are needed, and then we will give that information to the volunteer. Now, in their shopping experience, if a family states that I need baby food as well, then just say, I just need to check with staff and I will be right back. Because staff should have done that in the office. Sometimes we miss things. but we'll see what the child needs in the volume then. Also, when we're talking about formula, please give, okay. So when we're talking about formula, sometimes there's often a question of, and when we come to formula, please give 1 to 2 cans of formula unless the staff authorizes more. There are so many different kinds and varieties of formula, so you'll probably have to work with our neighbor about what works for their family. And if we don't have the formula that is needed, then let staff know that is a request. Same with diapers as well. Let staff know, and then we will do a voucher to the grocery store. Non-food items. Sometimes neighbors are just coming in for personal care items and household items. So we have separate slips for that, and then you would just pack that up. Or sometimes they are just coming in for pet items. A gentle reminder that every service goes out through the alley. So even if it is 2 cans of formula and that is it, I still want them to go through the alley just again because of confidentiality and for people remaining anonymous. So miscellaneous things. If you can please recycle the paperwork. Please make sure there are no last names on those forms, otherwise they need to be shredded. I'd like to talk a little bit about the role of Tom Sherwood and Doug Kimmis in the market. Tom is in charge of any kind of dry goods. He also takes care of stocking the market. He is a great resource for questions. Both Tom and Doug are. And Doug's main focus is he takes care of anything that is refrigeration or freezer. And he also is our person that kind of fixes things around the building or finds somebody to do that. So these 2 gentlemen are great resources to you. Now, we do have some how-to books so that volunteers are able to try to find answers on their own. Know that you can always ask your fellow volunteer as well, but there is a gray 3-ring binder located on the shelf in the warehouse where the plastic bags and the tape guns are. And in that binder, you'll find how to sort food dates, quality of cans, etc., how to break up different items. For instance, how to break up pet food when we need to, how we break up tampons or feminine napkins, things of that nature. And then also there is a binder talking about what to do with produce, bread, and refrigerated items on Friday. And we also have a binder located on the produce shelf entitled Everything You Wanted to Know About Produce at Hastings Family Service. So especially during the season where we get a lot of garden items in, this is a handy little book to kind of help you decide how to spread out all the bounty of harvest that we get in. Also, we've just gotten a new whiteboard. It's nice and large, so that is going to be my main form of communication to you. So each time you come into the building here for your shift, if you will look at that whiteboard, that will have relevant information on it. Also, whenever we have lettuce of any type in the refrigerator, whether we get it from Coburn's or from a farmer or if I'm purchasing it, I would like you to put salad dressing right next to that lettuce, because people are more apt to take lettuce if there is salad dressing that they could put. Also, at the beginning of each shift, if you could please just glance at the produce and make sure that it is of the quality that we want in the market, and that something isn't molding, or it's too bruised, or it's not visually appealing at all. And then if it's then you can then put it in, depending on the quality of it, either in the volunteer receptionist area or out in the store on the free shelf. Now, this slide, it is going to depend on the time of year if we are using boxes for packing groceries in the market or bags. So just look at the whiteboard. Presently, I'm doing this in August, so we are now back to using bags because we need to make sure we have enough boxes for our holiday distributions. Free shelves. There are 3 free shelves in the building. One is in the market, one is in the reception area for people coming for services, and one is in the Rivertown Treasure store. The only free shelf that a staff or volunteer is welcome to is the one in the store, Rivertown Treasures. And it must be on that shelf in order for a volunteer or a staff to feel welcome to take something. It can't be in a cart in the warehouse designated for up there. It absolutely has to be placed on that shelf. This just makes it very clear for individuals that unless it's on that shelf, a volunteer or staff cannot take it. The reason for that is that I have to sign an agreement with Second Harvest that volunteers and staff will not take donated items unless we have this overabundance. And that is the only things that go on the free shelf up in the store. Now, items past expiration or within 6 months, volunteers will place on the free shelf in the market. Okay. And lastly, I wanted to also mention that if we are throwing any items in the trash, they're just not of use to us, they're moldy, they're icky, way past expiration, we want to make sure that we're taking it out the back door, through the alley, and discreetly throwing it in the garbage. Because when the community's around and they're driving through the alley or see something, we'll get comments from community that, why are you guys throwing away food? They don't realize that sometimes we get things donated in that are not fit for human consumption or way past date. All right, then what to do in downtime? Every so often we'll have some break in people coming into the market. So things that I would greatly appreciate for you to do would be stocking shelves and also the perishable items as well. So, the milk and the cheese and the eggs. So making sure things are full. Again, just a gentle reminder about stocking shelves. Make sure you look above and below and behind. Because the things that we need to stock first are in the market. And if you need to go into the warehouse, please take a second look to make sure that the box that you are selecting is the one that is going to expire first. So if you do not have an item in the market, a box or something to stock with, please feel welcome and please go into the warehouse and look to see if we have that item. And again, just double check the expiration and then bring it in stock. You can also straighten shelves, pull items to the front. label facing out, just like you'd see at a grocery store. Again, in order for it to look neat, we also do, this is just a rule of thumb, 5 cans across, 5 cans deep, and also to make sure that we are flowing in an up and down form on the shelf. That is really critical when our neighbors are using their food list, because it goes from top to bottom. So we want that lining up of the food items on the food list as they go. It just makes it easier for our neighbor as they're trying to follow the list, rather than having things all across the shelf. You could don't sleep, sweep, straighten and organize the packing table. You can straighten and clean toys in the mini market. That's a great help. If there are also items in there that are broken or can be dangerous for a child, please just throw away. We can wipe down fridges and freezers, wipe down carts and tables, take care of the garbage and recycling. Other things we can do is empty the dishwasher if needed in the break room, tidy the kitchen area, and double bag. Every volunteer's favorite job is double bagging, so that is something that we could use as well. Because I also like to point out that the environment that our neighbor walks into the market, and I am so thankful for all of you for recognizing this, is that a welcoming atmosphere is also an atmosphere that is clean and well picked up, and it just shows an element of respect for individuals coming in. All right, and then the question I often have is, oh no, I need to talk to Mary and her door is shut. So on my door, I have a hanger, and if I am meeting with a person, it will be switched to in a meeting. So if I'm in a meeting, please wait until I am available if possible. Go back to the whiteboard and look at that chain of command, who you can talk to if your question cannot wait. Now, if it is an emergency, you can always interrupt me. Now, if my sign is posted that I'm working on a project, try to wait until I am available. So if it is something that is not critical, then you can just ask me that question, or try asking your co-volunteer. They may have the answer as well. If not, if it can't wait, then please knock on the door, and then I would be able to help you. All right. Thank you so much for listening to this training. And again, I want to thank you so much for selecting Hastings Family Service as a place for you to volunteer and share your time with us. I appreciate each and every one of you, and just your smiling face and your compassion for your neighbors in the community. You are just our front line of a warm, welcoming hand to those experiencing a crisis in their life. And I just appreciate all of you immensely.